Если вы любите активный отдых,
If you love outdoor activities, if you like the adrenaline surge in your blood, if you're ready to challenge your own fear, all you need to do is to come and visit Almaty. In this city, all the conditions have been created to engage in extreme sports. Hello, this is another episode of Terra Incognita project. My name is Anton Fedorov, and I'm going to tell you how to spend an unforgettable summer in the southern capital of Kazakhstan.
незабываемое лето в южной столице Казахстана.
In this episode, I will show you what the city of Almaty has to offer for downhill lovers. I will introduce you to a person who is a stranger to fear because he is good at mastering the elements. I will also try to master new types of water sports, wakeboarding and sap-surfing. The geographical location of Almaty, which is located at the foot of the majestic Tian Shan Mountains, allows one to develop not only alpine tourism, but also makes it possible to practice extreme sports, paragliding, climbing and downhill, which has been gaining popularity recently. I have come to Shimbulak Ski Resort. Its peculiar characteristic is that tourists can come for recreation here all year round. In winter, the resort runs ski slopes, while in summer, you can engage in extreme sports here. Shimbulak Ski Resort is never empty. In winter, skiing and snowboarding lovers come here. And in the summer, these mountains are great for those who like to tickle their nerves by speeding down an extreme mountain road on a bike. Nature is amazing in its beauty, the purest mountain air, and equally important, the infrastructure created for the recreation. All of this makes Shimbulak recognizable around the world and attracts tourists from various countries. In order to learn what downhill is in more detail, I invited someone who rode a good part of the routes around the world on his bicycle. Meet Saken Kagarov, 23 years old, a professional extreme sportsman. A person who is ready to challenge any element, be it snowy peaks, mountain trails, unbroken routes, or sea waves. This guy feels comfortable anywhere. But mountain bike is his favorite entertainment, hobby and work. It just happened so that my friends rode bikes. I never thought I would ever ride a bicycle, not only in the mountains, I didn't think I would even just ride. Because at that time I had not been interested. I professionally played baseball from 7 to 14 years old. Later the sport disappeared in Kazakhstan, although even now many people do not even know that it was all here. Because it is an American game, and it is rather unusual for this game to be in Kazakhstan. And then there was a long break for 4 years. I did not know what to do. I went to school like all children, I played computer games, and that's it. Then when I was 18, my friends started biking and invited me to try. I liked it. They started to show videos. The internet was already available back then. They watched and downloaded videos, and I decided that I also wanted to ride a bike. My first success, as it turns out, was when I went to work as an office manager from 16 to 18 years of age. I worked at a bicycle workshop. I earned money for half a bike, and my parents helped me with the remaining sum. At that time, it was inexpensive, about 100,000 tenge. Later, I realized that it is impossible to ride such a bike at a professional level or do something more complicated in the mountains using it. Downhill is an extreme racing discipline, the point of which is to pass the track for a time on a special mountain bike. The downhill section contains various sections that only add complexity for an athlete. Steep descents, sharp turns, pits and bumps, protruding stones and tree roots, and sometimes even more difficult obstacles such as ski jump hills and cliffs are built for the most reckless riders. The average speed of athletes on the track is about 36 kilometers per hour. The average elevation difference is from 500 meters to 2 kilometers. In fact, such a mountain bike costs about $5,000 to $7,000. Used one can be bought for $2,000, but I realized that such a bike should not be bought because it has to be maintained. You need to invest in it, besides you can break it any time. So my parents and I decided to get a new one on credit through my friends. With the downhill, Sakan's life has changed dramatically. In 2010, he did his first high-speed race on the mountain road and realized that he could not live without his favorite hobby anymore. And this was the right decision. Over a short time, Sakan began to achieve his first results and get his first awards. Now he has the official title of Candidate Master of Sports in Downhill.
На самом деле все сильно поменялось, как бы.
In fact, everything has changed a lot. New friends, new people. I could say that the world has changed around me, and I have changed around it, because most of the time I began to devote to my bicycle. My studies were 50-50. I enrolled in a college to study as a programmer, but on the second or third year I realized that even though the programmer is a good profession, I chose sports for myself, because I ride, enjoy it, and have a chance to see the world. This is very interesting and is a rather unusual sport. You ride to different mountains, you are your own coach, and you choose what to do. You go down without a fall and you think, that's great. You fall and you think, how do I fix it so that I don't fall again?
Вот спустился ты без падения, думаешь, вот, блин, классно, как упал, думаешь, как все это исправить, чтобы не падать.
Only to onlookers, downhill seems beautiful and exciting, but in fact it is a very dangerous and tough sport. After almost every race, many cyclists have got a couple of bruises and dislocations, and sometimes it comes to fractures. But without injury, there would be no such pleasure from the descent. After all, the main point is to cover a difficult section of the route as quickly as possible without losing control and without falling. Athletes come to each race in a special gear: a helmet, a mask, gloves, and protective shields covering chest, back, arms, and legs.
Вначале я думал, что мы все бессмертные, но упал, поцарапался, ничего страшного.
In the beginning, I thought we all were immortal. We fell, we got scratched, fractured, no big thing. But in 2014, I was injured for the first time at the World Cup in Italy. We trained with my friends from the Russian national team and I slipped, fell and got an ankle cut off. I had to leave sports for a month and a half because I could not walk. After recovery and rehabilitation, Sakan was invited by the Russian national team riders to participate in the World Downhill Championships in Norway. For this young man, it was a real chance to try himself internationally. Sakan had to go on the slopes, which he had never had to ride before.
Было очень тяжело, потому что.
It was very hard because it is impossible to reach this level of the track, since they only ride difficult tracks in winter and in summer. And at the moment, I only rode at Shimbulak and Meadow. The level of the tracks is very different. After the race, I was surprised and shocked at how super difficult and dangerous it was. Each time I rode down, I thought about surviving rather than speeding up my time. In the end, I did finish, and I came 87th. My friend from the Russian national team came 78th. And we realized that we needed to train more on the tracks of this level. It doesn't have to be at a competition. It's better to do it in a training camp.
По уровню не обязательно соревнования, а лучше просто сборы.
The mentality is a bit different abroad. There they have children, adults, and elderly people engaged in the downhill. They see it as something normal. At the moment, here we tend to think of any extreme sport as more suitable for young people because it is very dangerous. But in fact, if you approach everything wisely and ensure appropriate protection, a bike, and get an instructor, then everything will be just as good for you. Having been on different mountain tracks around the world, Sakan is certain that downhill in Kazakhstan can become very popular. First of all, this is due to the natural mountain landscape here, where it is possible to build tracks of varying length and complexity. Moreover, for close neighbors, outdoor activities and extreme sports in Kazakhstan can be much cheaper than in other countries.
На самом деле у нас
In fact, we have an ideal platform. A platform for the development of tourism, alpine tourism and cycling, because we have such resorts as Shimbulak and Akbulak, where there is every chance to build European-level tracks. No worse than that. The only thing is that it is worth the investment, and payback of such projects is much longer than in Europe because we still have a different mentality. If we build a track, all this will develop gradually. But I think if we do build it, it will develop, and the athletes from the CIS and Russia will come to us for the sake of such views. At the end of our meeting, Sakan agreed to demonstrate all his skills in downhill. It was a breathtaking sight.
Активный отдых в горах далеко не все, что может...
Outdoor activities in the mountains is not all that Almaty has to offer to its guests and residents. Now we'll go to a place where extreme sports will be waiting for us. But this time, it is on the water. And all this fun is within the city. Well, are you ready? Let's go then. I have arrived at a place called Gagarin Wake Park. This is where they develop wakeboarding, a relatively new kind of sport for Kazakhstan that has already managed to gain popularity in the world. In this park, you can get unforgettable experience and a surge of adrenaline.
Вейкбординг – это экстремальный вид спорта, достаточно модный, тем более...
Wakeboarding is an extreme sport, quite on trend, especially in Almaty. I have heard that wakeboarding is a new popular trend in the city. It originated somewhere in the States. People used to do surfing, skateboarding, but all this is rather long and difficult. So someone just rode behind a boat, and this is how this sport originated. In Kazakhstan, people have been riding behind boats using reversible winches for quite a long time. But last year, a very cool place was opened called Gagarin Wake Park. They offer a circular cable with excellent obstacles.
Появилось очень крутое место под названием Гагарин Вейк Парк. Это кольцевая лебедка с отличными фигурами.
A wakeboarding school operates in the park. Its founder and instructor Almaz Smaykulov is the champion of Russia in cable wakeboarding, the master of sports in wakeboarding, and the prize winner of various international competitions. Almaz admits that wakeboarding is more than sports to him. Around the world, this new sport trend has already united hundreds of thousands of people leading an active lifestyle and has even become a kind of subcultural movement.
Я занимался всю жизнь профессионально спортом.
I played professional sports all my life, freestyle wrestling, but after an injury, my coach, who was involved in extreme sports, invited me to try. That was in Moscow. He put me on the board, and when I started gliding on the water, I said to myself that I love wakeboarding.
Я себе сказал, все, я люблю вейкбординг.
Wakeboarding is an extreme sport that combines elements of water skiing, slalom, acrobatics, and jumping. It has similarities with snowboarding, skateboarding, and surfing. It is one of the fastest growing sports and leisure activities. There are two disciplines in wakeboarding: boat wakeboarding and cable wakeboarding. In boating wakeboard, an athlete rides a boat holding a halyard and performs various tricks using a traveling wave and springboards. In cable wakeboarding, the movement of an athlete on the water takes place with the help of a mechanized cable towing installation. There are circular installations operating at Gagarin Wake Park, where motion takes place in a circle, and reverse installations, where athletes' movement is only possible forward and backwards.
Вейкбординг — это максимальная доступность, то есть ты приезжаешь.
Wakeboarding is the maximum availability. That is, you arrive at the location where everything is ready, you are given equipment, you just have to pull it all on, listen to the initial instruction, and go. The board. To help you understand, it has two parts: the board itself and wakeboard bindings. That is the shoe, the helmet for maximum safety, and a vest for someone who cannot swim. The most important safety elements are the vest and the helmet. There are no age or social restrictions. This is a very fun and cool thing.
Очень веселая и крутая штука.
Springboards and other floating or stationary obstacles are placed in wake parts on the water surface, which athletes climb when moving in a circle. The rider's speed is 29 to 38 kilometers per hour. While sliding on the water, the athlete can perform jumps and many different tricks.
Когда ты катаешься на вейкборде, тебя тянет лебедка. Это вот
When wakeboarding, you're pulled by a winch. There are obstacles and springboards on the track, and if you like, you can go up very high. For example, if you are not a professional and want to go up, it can be quite dangerous, because you can get injured. Therefore, this sport is considered extreme.
поэтому отсюда и идет то, что этот вид спорта экстремальный.
Well, of course, I also decided to test what wakeboarding is. Although with my build 2 meters height and 110 kilograms of weight, it will be difficult to get the coordination balance. Almaz kindly agreed to give me a full briefing, and now I will know the basics of this extreme sport. In order for a new person to get up on the wakeboard for the first time, it will be right for you to completely submerge into the water, because you start off from water. I have the halyard in my hands. This is a kind of simulator, but now I'm going to show you how this is done. And later in the process we will have the understanding. As I've told you, the start comes from water. You plunge into the water as much as possible as your vest holds you. Your legs should be as bent as possible. That is, closer to the chest. When the rope starts pulling you, you first create resistance with the board. You ride about 5 meters sitting in order to feel the support under you, and little by little you will feel how it is pulling you upwards. Using this momentum, you only begin to get up on your feet and put the lead foot forward. That is, in the process you will need to go sideways from the perpendicular position. It is very easy. It is a reversible winch. There is a coach operator who will turn on the speed from 0 up depending on how trained you are. So doesn't it matter what side you ride on? Not really. There is one such example. Here I'm going to turn you right now. I pushed you and your right foot is leading. As I understand it, you eat and write with your right hand. So it seems to me that you will be more comfortable using your right foot. So your right foot is leading and your left foot is the supporting one. You have to transfer body weight to it. Transferring body weight does not mean pulling back and sitting down, but simply transferring body weight to this leg. You're holding with your hands and moving. You hold the board perpendicularly to the cable motion. That is, you put the board perpendicularly to where the rope is pulling you. When the winch starts dragging you, you first rest against the board, meaning that you lean with your body weight, not with your hands. That's it. You pull your shoulders a little back so that the winch itself pulls you out of the water. And at that time, using this inertia, you begin to stand up and turn your right foot forward. This is not done immediately, but very smoothly, and then you unfold it in the process. Generally, I'm not very good at coordination sports. 99% of people are able to get up the very first time. This is the statistics. But there are those who say, here, I'm in that 1%. Now you just need to concentrate as much as possible. Remember, halyard is the continuation of your hand. Never pull it towards yourself. You can pull yourself up a little, but no more. All right? Arms must be straight, legs are bent, and all movements are done with legs only. Do not forget the body. There is a newbie's mistake. You start from the prone position, and many people think that you can get up by simply straightening your legs and pulling up the winch. Not really. Your arms must be straight, your body straight, and it pulls you up. It's almost like moving your shoulders forward, allowing to pull you, and you just catch this momentum and slowly get up on your feet. I admit my lifting technique from the water turned out to be at a low level. Apparently it was due to the fact that this was my first time on the wakeboard in my life. But my experience of sliding on the water, of course, was amazing. Not without falls, of course.
Чтобы уверенно встать на вейкборд, конечно...
To confidently stand on the wakeboard, of course, one needs more than just one time, but need multiple practices. I invite you to enjoy this beautiful sport performed by real professionals.
В исполнении настоящих профессионалов.
For those who prefer a quieter leisure, Gagarin Wake Park offers another interesting direction called sap-surfing. This is a water sport, a kind of surfing, where the rider, while standing on the board, rides waves and uses paddles rather than hands to row, as in classic surfing.
Сап-серфинг или же падлбординг – это довольно молодой вид спорта.
Sap-surfing or paddleboarding is a fairly young sport which is used both in wave riding with a paddle as a third support and in riding in a calm water using a paddle as a vehicle. There are hard boards or inflatable boards. Hard boards are primarily used by surfers to ride waves. Soft boards are more convenient when riding on smooth water or just for leisure. In most cases, the sub-boards are similar to regular surfboards, but they are slightly larger in length and in width. Due to the large size and thus buoyancy under the rider's weight, sub-boards are not deeply immersed in the water. Inflatable boards are more convenient in terms of storage and transportation. The risk of injury in this sport is minimal.
Сап-серфинг очень доступен, потому что вам требуется лишь весло, доска и озеро.
Sap-surfing is affordable because all you need is a paddle, a board and a lake. You do not need a driving force or a winch. Just pick up your board, come to the water and ride. You can ride anywhere, literally. It is not hard to find a pond just 5 minutes away from the city. But new challenges await me here, just as in wakeboarding. It is not easy for a novice to get on the sub-board for the first time. I had to fall into the water several times before I was able to stand upright on the board. But I found riding while standing up very uncomfortable, so I decided to resort to the beginner's technique and glided on the water while kneeling on the board.
На деле оказалось, что вейкбординг и сап-серфинг
In fact, wakeboarding and sap-surfing turned out to be very exciting sports. And if you master these instruments, you can have a very enjoyable experience in these outdoor activities. I hope I succeeded in telling you about the city of Almaty as the city for extreme sports. So come, and you will not regret it. This was Terra Incognita Project. My name is Anton Fedorov, and I will see you in the next episode.